Spotify, on YouTube. We are currently live on X, on YouTube, and this will be, of course, spread across socials at Subway Sports Talk as we move throughout the week. My guest will be joining me in just a second, but here we are, Subway Sports Talk.
And clear of the closing doors, please.
Way back, Pete Kennedy and Cody O'Connor in the building, talking some Mets, Yankees, Knicks, MLB, NBA, all the stuff that's happening in the world of sports, according to myself and Cody O. Big COC in the building. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Man, great, Pete. It's just good to be back. A lot of life has happened for the two of us. We've been super busy, so it's not always as easy to do these pods, but over those time periods, we're still watching and the
Oh, yeah.
takes are just building and building, and I'm ready to just fire them off with you rapid fire here tonight.
Yeah, dude, it's a time of sports that's just probably
Ooh.
my favorite of the year. And I know that sounds a little blasphemous with like the football season and baseball playoffs and the NBA about to start. Like you got that sweet spot of like, oh, 2 weeks of NBA regular season, the World Series in baseball, NFL in full swing. That's up there, but something special about the first week or two of baseball, the first month of baseball leading into the NBA playoffs and the NFL draft. You can sprinkle that into there as well. March Madness just ended. This is an exciting time of sports. It's different than football season, but football is kind of like its own shebang, if you will. And this one's a special to me with the NBA playoffs on the horizon. So we're going to touch heavily on the Knicks and on the NBA playoffs, talk about the contenders. But I do want to touch first, Cody, on our Mets and their Yankees. Is that a right way to say it? Because it's our Mets, it's not
Perfectly
our
said.
Yankees. But New York Yankees and our listeners Yankees as well. So we'll get to the Yankees and the Mets. Cody, first few weeks of baseball season are in the books, and both Mets Yankees have had some good successes, some weird struggles. Not struggles is harsh for the Yankees especially, but the Mets even too. I wouldn't even call them struggles per se. But we're getting there. We're starting to feel out the baseball season, starting to feel out both of these teams. And your vibe check on the Mets after just over 10 games here is what?
That I think they are what we thought they were going to be. Like maybe not what we were expecting, promised, whatever, but I do think that this is a different feel, different type of team, different lineup. It's almost a little strange. I think one of the stranger beginning of a seasons because we're still getting used to rooting for Bo Bichette and for Jorge Polanco and for
Mhm.
Marcus Simeon. And like they're not yet our guys. Luis Robert probably very quickly became our guy with a walk-off home run in game two.
Right.
So like when they have those moments, you're like, all right, now they're our guy, Freddie Peralta. It's more different than I can ever remember starting a season with the Mets, and it's going to take time to gel. But so far, the pen has held up pretty well, which was probably my biggest concern coming into the season. The starting pitching has been pretty good with very delightful sightings from Kodai Senga,
Mhm.
especially. And the lineup had their struggles amidst that 3-game losing streak. Welcome to baseball, Mets fans. Welcome to baseball, everybody who forgets when we go into an off season every year what it's like for the roller coaster of a season. But I think ultimately this is just a new look team that's a little bit more of a pass the baton style offense who's going to get on base, who's going to create havoc, who's going to go back to some of those teams like 2022 and even 24 that showed a lot more patience and a lot more pitches from the opposing team,
Mhm.
and just more than just a boomer bust, just an ability to take your walks, get on base. And that to me is a delight to watch. And I hope that's what we continue to see, because it's hard to judge after just 11 games. It's not the end all
Yeah,
be all.
100%. And that's always going to be kind of my mindset at this point of the season. What are we going to do? If the Mets were 11-0, obviously we'd be incredibly excited. We'd be like, holy crap, can you believe this team that can't stop winning? But deep down, all of us Mets fans would be like, well, we know that other shoe is
Oh, yeah.
dropping at a
Mhm.
rapid pace at some point. Like that's just the thought process you'd have. And the same thing doesn't always come into your mind when the other thing happens, right? So when they can't get a hit and runners with runners in scoring position in the first series, and they scored 11 runs in the first game, then they couldn't hit, and like the world is falling, and trade Francisco Lindor, move on from this guy. Him and Soto aren't friends. Like
Mhm.
this stuff just enters the ether of Mets fandom, and the same thing on the Yankees front. And it's like, dude, what? Like, shut up. That's insane to think that way, especially in freaking baseball. You know what I mean? Like if there's a football player by week 3 or
Mhm.
4 who is just getting their doors kicked in, right? Like, look back to the horrible offensive lines of the New York Giants. If you want to pull the string on an O lineman in their first couple of years who was just getting their door blown in every single day, sure. This is baseball. And Lindor's been the best shortstop, one of the best shortstops in baseball for 5 years, if not 10 years. What? Shut up. You know what I mean? It's like some of that stuff is very frustrating, and I'll always try to come with a balanced approach in this first portion of the year. But I am feeling good, Cody. And you said you kind of think the Mets are at where we would have expected, and I think that's a different answer for everybody, which is interesting. If you talk to somebody like myself, I've been pretty optimistic about this Mets team leading into this year. So maybe I still kind of agree with what you said, but there's some people who might be pretty pessimistic who
Mhm.
still might also agree that they are who they thought they were, right? So there's a lot of ifs and what's still remaining with this team. When you look at the lineup and the production of the Bichettes and the Polancos and Roberts, like you mentioned, and Simeon, et cetera, and who's going to be good, Vientos or Beatty, and the bullpen is still going to be a question mark, right? So
Mhm.
these things are not going away. And whether the Mets are, 35 and 15 in a few months, or they're 28 and 28 in a few months, I feel like we're still going to have question marks, Cody.
There's so many with this team.
Yeah.
Like, can't you look up and down, whether it's the staff or the lineup, and just go, "Ooh, that guy's an X factor. Ooh, that guy's an X factor," because there's so much potential for some of them. A guy like Mark Vientos, who we've seen here, Luis Robert, who you bring in with this high ceiling, a guy like Kodai Senga. What am I going to get out of David Peterson? Like, Pete, I don't know if you feel this way, but I weirdly feel like I know more about what I'm going to get from Clay Holmes as a
Mm,
starting pitcher than I can say I know about David Peterson, Kodai Senga, and certainly Sean Manaea. Like, I feel more confident
yeah.
in not his ceiling being like, oh my gosh, he's going to throw to a sub 3 ERA, but just what I can
Right.
get on a start to start basis compared to those other guys where I just don't fully know, and you're pleasantly surprised when Kodai Senga throws 6 innings and gives you like
Right.
old Kodai Senga looking stuff. You're like, holy cow. Because that's going to be what a difference that'll be if you get that version of Kodai. We
Mhm.
just don't know. And you could say the same with guys in the lineup.
Right. And the same thing with the guys in the pen, right? Like I think
True.
everybody's been like, wow, this Tobias Myers guy looks like something special. It's nice to see Devin Williams
He's
looking
looked
like
good.
the old Devin Williams, and
Mhm.
Luke Weaver, the same thing.
Yep.
Like between Devin Williams, Tobias Myers, and Luke Weaver, who have combined for, let's see, how many innings here? Why can't I find the innings here? 12, 16 innings. They've given up 1 run combined.
Hmm.
Right? Like you have that start from the Mets, and you're like, yeah, okay, maybe there's something with this pen that could work. Brazoban also, he had a
He's looked
rough
good.
outing today, even though those runs don't go onto his ledger, they go onto Peralta's.
Hmm.
He gave up a dink and a dunk and a whatever. Like maybe there is something with the pen. Maybe there is something with these starters. I felt better about the starters in the pen. And let's start deep diving here, Cody, with the Mets, and then we'll go into the Yankees. With the starters, I had at least cautious optimism that this could be a deep rotation. Maybe not. Like, is Peralta like the ace of all aces? Maybe, maybe not. Is he going to be good? I think so. Like, did he have
Hmm.
a great outing today? No, but he had a decent outing and was kind of a pitch away from a very good outing if he got that one
He
last
was.
out in the fifth. Then you go through McLean, Holmes,
Hmm.
Peterson, Senga. There's a world, even though 3 of those guys might be 2 3s and not 1 2s, where this rotation can stack up. So, are you feeling better or worse about the rotation today than you did, 2, 3 weeks ago?
I feel better because of what I've seen from Kodai Senga so far. Because again, like we're just basing it off of a couple starts. I'm not saying this is what it's going to be, but because I've seen Kodai Senga through the spring and to start this season look a lot more like himself. If that guy is himself, that's a really damn good number 3, right? I mean, this is the guy
Right.
that they were waiting on and relied on as your number 1 starter in the 2024 season, which was your most successful since 2015. So
Mhm.
Kodai Senga's got the ability, he's got the stuff to be a top level type of guy without having the pressure put on him to do that. And I think that what you get from David Peterson feels like a plus. I'm still, it's just it's so up and down with him. And when he's going well, it's like, oh boy, does this guy look like something
All right.
special? And
He can
he's
go
working
deeper than most
fast.
guys in the rotation.
Right. But
Yeah.
then now, is there a world where Clay Holmes, with a year under his belt, is more of a guy that can get you 5 and 6 innings regularly compared to 4 and 5? And
Mhm.
it's funny. I was talking to my dad about this today. I said, I'm gonna podcast with Pete. I'm gonna bring this up because these aces, and I'm talking about Freddie Peralta right now, not in a super negative light, but for me, like if you're an ace or you're an ace of a squad, and we've mentioned he's not, the top of the line Tariq Screwball Paul Skeens type of level, but he's like a tier below it. You need to be giving me 6 innings on a regular
6, man,
basis. Like
100%.
I'm not into this whole, oh, he threw 4 2/3, he gave up no runs. But guess what? Now your bullpen's in the 5th inning. No, no, no. An ace to me is a guy that's going to save my bullpen. When we're playing 3 games in 4 days, 4 games in 5 days, and the bullpen is tired, I need someone to get out there and give me 6 and 7 innings and save our pen. And that's what I need Freddie to be. And I know he's not exactly that, but to me, that's an ace. Give me a guy that's going to give me 6 innings through it, 2 earned runs. That's fine. I'll live with that. Keep us in a game. Get me the innings. That's what I need the starting pitching to do. That was their biggest downfall last, Pete, in that
Mhm,
swoon of a season
mhm.
was the starting pitching coming out in the 3rd and 4th inning. Incredible amount of pressure on the bullpen. They couldn't handle it. They cracked. Season's gone. Starting pitching is going to be key for everyone, but it's huge for us.
Yeah, and when you think of the bullpen struggles last year, it starts with that. It starts
Hmm.
with the starting pitching because of how much the bullpen will be in use. Peralta and Gary Cohen has said it a few times, I think, in his first few starts here. It's like the 5th inning is his thing. That's his hump. He's gonna get you there. And the question every start is he gonna get you over the 5th inning hump, or is he gonna get stuck there? And that's really why he is not the top tier guy. Like his numbers at the end of the year are probably gonna be pretty good.
Hmm.
His strikeout numbers are gonna be pretty good. A lot of stuff, pretty good. The one question is every time he takes the ball, is he going to get through 6? And that's the key. Last year, none of the guys were. Literally none of the pitchers except for Peterson in that one stretch of time were going 6 consistently. And then you look at other rotations who do, and the Yankees, to their credit, always have a good bullpen. A lot of times it's because their pitchers are getting to 6, and that helps a ton.
So
But
much.
switching over to the bullpen quickly here, you start looking at like I just mentioned, Williams, Myers, and Weaver, Barazaban, and Eden Brooks Raley. Maybe this bullpen can be good, Cody. I don't know. I think those are 5 guys who can do something on the bump.
Well, there's one guy too that we don't have back yet that I think derailed their season last year more than anyone's going to give credit for. But AJ Minter should be back pretty soon. And that
Yep.
is such a key piece. Another left handed pitcher, another setup type guy who can close out a game if you need to. That's huge. So each piece, it's so important. We always talk about like one piece being the difference because you drop a guy or they add their pressure each time, right? Like if you have your setup guy is out, now you're moving this guy into the setup role and that guy into the
Right.
seventh, so on. AJ Minter's a huge piece to add if these guys can stay healthy and they can, to some extent keep this going. Like
Yeah.
I think if Devin Williams is going to be good, right? I mean, the guy that we saw every year except last year, if we really think
Right.
about it, all of a sudden this bullpen's not bad at all. It's
Yeah.
really
And,
so much going to be on him.
and Brooks really missed a lot of last year, which hurt them a ton because
He's been
he's just
awesome,
nothing
man.
but awesome when he's healthy. And
Oh
I
my
saw
goodness.
on the in the world of stuff, I have 2 things that I saw on the internet here. There's this account on Twitter that's tracking, stuff. Um, oh shoot, I forgot the second category, but then it's like grading every
Things.
single pitch, movement. Yeah, right. It's grading movement, it's grading performance, it's grading results, it's grading stuff, etc. And of all bullpen arms so far this year, Brooks Raley is ranked number 1 in stuff, which
Mm,
means movement, velo, differences between pitches, etc. Like his stuff has been what you expect it to be, and obviously he hasn't given up a run yet, striking out 5 3 2/3. Like he's doing everything you'd expect from Brooks Raley. And then on the other front, Kodai Senga's stuff has been back to the peak Kodai Senga that we saw 2 years ago. Last year, he was still getting strikeouts. He wasn't going deep, but his velo was down. Some of his movement was down. All that stuff is back up on Kodai Senga. And there's a ton of people on Mets Twitter just constantly like tracking. Oh my gosh, Kodai Senga's average fastball speed went down 0.2 miles per hour in the fourth and fifth inning today. It's like, all right, relax. He's up from last year. He's much closer to what he's been in the past. Let's be happy with Kodai Senga. So that all makes me happy. And McLean, speaking of stuff, last but not least, he is teetering on the point of, best stuff in the league. Like, and that's, I don't want to be hyperbolic. He's only had 8 starts. I'm not saying that he is a Cy Young candidate. I'm not saying that he's a next superstar. I just watch him throw the baseball, Cody, and I am flabbergasted twice, 3, 4 times an inning by the movement on his shit. It's insane.
It is nasty stuff. It's nasty. And speaking of stuff, hopefully we don't look up Sean Manaeus because I can't imagine it's anything good. He's throwing he's literally throwing 88-mile-per-hour fastballs right now. Like,
can I say this? Out of the pen, fucking let's go.
Could you imagine though a world where Sean Manaea is a reliable pen like even if he's just a long relief guy, and you can count on him to give you 3 innings on a day where David Peterson got bounced in the third. What an addition that would be.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm expecting from the man. If he comes out whenever, once a week, twice a week, and gives you 2 to 3 innings, you're like, all right, here we go. Or even one of those games where either you're up big or you're down big, and you throw him out there and he eats up 4 for you and gives up 3 or 4 runs. Who gives a crap? Who cares? Let him eat. Let him eat the innings. Let him eat them up. I'm in for Manaea out of the pen. If we see him back in the rotation, probably not a good sign, Cody.
Probably. Can I ask you a question? What you think, like someone goes down, knock on wood, but we know it's probably inevitable. So a starter goes down and we need to fill in that spot. He's going to be out for 3-4 games. Do you think it's going to be first to Sean Manaea, or is it going to be someone like a Christian Scott or even a Jonah Tong? Like, who do you think they're going to go to first if that spot needs to be filled? And speaking of which, is Tyler McGill still on the Mets? Because he's the prime candidate for something like that.
I don't know.
That's my guy too, but I have no idea.
Let me peek that real quick. Why we talk about this? My guess would be, Cody, if the injury happens in kind of a short time frame with not a lot of optionality, and he happens to be fresh, Manaea will get a start. If there's any reason for flexibility, like Senga just threw 6 innings. But he's going to miss his next start and they have 4 days to figure it out. I'd imagine it's Scott or Tong. It would be my guess. If in a pinch, Manaea will get the call probably. But if you have any reason for flexibility or any ability for flexibility, I think you'd see, Tong or Scott. It would be my guess.
I think you're right. And I think if Manaea starts, it's probably going to be one of those piggyback type roles where you're looking for 3 to 4 innings out of him. And it's maybe like now it's maybe him and Tobias Myers, but I agree.
Yeah, McGill is still a Met. He's
he's next.
He had Tommy John though. He might be out for the season. He had Tommy John in September.
It's funny. I was more
Reed
interested
Garrett also had Tommy
brother.
John. Yeah, well, he throws freaking gas.
Reed
Garrett had Tommy John in October.
Yeah.
And Denell Nunez also had Tommy John in July. So all those guys are still Mets. But
Denell Nunez is a big, he was looking like a beast, I think 2 years ago it was. And maybe he's going to be a guy. Oh, speaking of Mets, Ahmed Rosario just gave the Yankees the lead.
Oh, shout out to Ahmed Rosario. Dinger, I presume?
Yeah, 3-run homer.
Nice. We'll get to the Yankees in a moment here, right on Subway Sports Talk. Pete Kennedy and Cody O'Connor. Let's talk about the Mets lineup real quick, and then we'll talk to the Yankees here. Cody, the lineup has been interesting so far. Obviously, Soto being out, we've gone 20 minutes here and didn't mention that Soto's on the IL. I think that's probably a little too long for us, but news travels fast in the world of sports. We've known this for 2 days now, so it's almost like it's old news. Soto's out. Yeah. He was hot. He was batting .350. He just looked very comfortable at the plate. Obviously only the 1 home run in the first 8 games, but just looked like he was ready and primed for a big year. So it's a huge blow to this lineup, but obviously the news is probably better than it could have been. So we'll take that. A calf strain, 2 to 3 weeks is the timeline for now, and we'll see how that goes from here. Otherwise, though, and let's start at the top. The Lindor concerns, question marks, worries, shit talk from Mets fans, whatever. What do you want to do about Lindor right now? What do you want to say about our shortstop, Cody?
Well, there's so many things that bother me about Mets fans giving him shit. One, just 2 years removed from a potential MVP candidacy. He was second in MVP voting, and again, our most successful season since 2015. Um, he is maybe the most notorious slow starter in the MLB. Like, he does
Yeah.
this every year. When are we gonna realize that? Like, he does it every year. He's not a great out of the gate type of a hitter. A lot of guys aren't. Typically, pitching is in front of hitting. The one game where he made two very boneheaded mistakes and it could have potentially cost them the game. I think it was also the game he got sent home on that double in the gap from Soto, which obviously wasn't Lindor's fault, but
Mhm.
they lost on the margin. So everyone's like, oh my God, he stepped on the base and didn't know there was one out. And it's like, yeah, okay, that's annoying. He gets picked off and
Yeah.
he looks like he doesn't care. That's annoying. Fine.
He played a
Are we
horrible game that day.
are we really gonna are we gonna do it every year? I mean, the guy is also like he's done it with us. I'm I'm good. Lindor's gonna be fine. He is such a good baseball player. He's such a great Met. Until I have a real reason to feel another way, I'm so far away from jumping off of the Lindor bandwagon.
And what was it, Cody? Was it the fact that him and Soto don't have a cool handshake together that people want to create this narrative that they don't like each other? Because last year at this time, all of the Mets world was saying, "Oh, when are we going to make this guy the captain?"
Right.
What? 1 year later, where he definitely wasn't the reason they lost last year.
Mhm.
We're going to run him out of town? Are you serious?
Can I say, at least
It's
to be fair,
unbelievable.
him and Soto don't do themselves any favors with this
No,
narrative, though.
certainly
Like,
not.
I don't think that there's a real thing, but they don't help themselves out in any way.
But I don't really care, to be
I
honest.
don't think it's a big deal. I don't.
And guess what? The fact that Lindor, before Soto got hurt, was having his most patient at bats of his career, batting
Mhm.
leadoff, getting walked. He still leads the National League in walks at this point in the season. Like, that's
Good
something
point.
new for him. That's a new skill. And if Bo Bichette wasn't pooping his pants in the first series and a half, the Mets would have been dominant because Lindor and Soto were on base all
Right.
day, every day, right? So let's all pump the brakes here. And now, obviously, things change with Soto being out of the lineup. We have Lindor to Bichette to Polanco, which feels a little different than Lindor to Soto to Bichette to Polanco. So that's what we'll talk about now, Cody. The lineup and the way it's coming together. Is there a major question mark for you? Is there one spot or one area of the lineup that is concerning to you that you'd like to talk about right now?
No, there's a ton of again that word X factors where it's like if this guy is good, but obviously everyone wants to talk about Alonso and the hole that he leaves, the power spot that he
Yeah.
doesn't, that you didn't replace. I find it to be a world where they kind of replace that by committee,
Hmm.
because if you look around this lineup, you've got guys who do hit for power. It's not like they're void of power spots. Francisco Alvarez is a guy certainly capable of hitting 20 homers. Bo Bichette is a guy that's going to give you somewhere between 18 and 22 homers. Luis Robert is a guy capable of 20 to 25 homers. Brett Beatty is a guy capable of 15 to 20 homers. I said Alvarez. Who did I miss?
Vientos
Mark
now.
Vientos. Thank God. Mark Vientos is a guy certainly capable. Like last year, I think he had 17 in a just horrible year. I
Right.
remember you and I doing a pre-season podcast and looking up his home run total and saw it at 35, which we were like, oh my God, that's unbelievable. And
Yeah.
then we ended up finding a total that was like 29 and a half or 28 and a half, whatever. Still huge numbers. Like that was not us Mets fans going, watch out
Right.
for
That was
Vientos,
DraftKings.
because that was
Yeah.
Vegas saying
Yeah.
this guy is a 30 home run guy. So is there
Right.
not a world where that is back to,
I mean,
you
he's been
just
super hot fire too so
he's
far.
not going to hit 400 for the year, but could he be back to his old ways and hitting 250 and producing 20-25 home? Yeah, I really believe that. So I think that there is just a more balanced approach to this lineup where there is power everywhere, but there's guys hitting for more average.
Yep.
And I just think that there's more of an opening and more of position. And I really want to give Brett Beatty a shout out, not for his bat yet, because it's not like it's been unbelievable. But Brett Beatty has just taken the Jeff McNeil role, which is not
Yeah.
some easy thing to do, to go play four positions on any given day, including DH. And Brett Beatty's like, what do you need from me? I don't care how you get me in the lineup. Get me in the lineup. And that is giving Mark Vientos a chance. That's going to give Polanco chances. Keep Marcus Simeon in for his defense. Like Brett Beatty is kind of an unsung hero to me right now.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for my fantasy team to pick up that Brett Beatty plays outfield, first base, second base, third base, so I can put him all over my lineup whenever I need him because that's who he is for the Mets right now. Yeah, he
Super
looks good in
utility.
right. He looks good at first. He played second and third a lot last year. He's good out there. It's just so funny, Cody, that the Mets can't have Beatty and Vientos hitting at the same time. Like the first three games, Beatty was doing some good stuff at the plate. It's like, oh, like Beatty's picking up where he left off, blah, blah, blah. And Vientos didn't get in that bat. All of a sudden, Vientos comes in, starts mashing. Beatty can't hit the ball again. Can't have both of them at the same time. I'm going to say this, though, Cody. From a perspective of the lineup that I am most interested in, it is where the Alonso hole is. It's just that's not my mindset. Like, how are they going to replace Alonso? Because I agree with everything that you just said. I think the depth of this lineup is what I'm not concerned about. Because every day so far in this season, you're looking at, Carson Bench, who obviously is off to a slow start, but he's batting 7-8. Alvarez is batting ninth.
Right.
I feel lovely about that. Whoever is in the lineup that day in that particular order. You have the Simeon stuff, who he's going to be a vet. He's going to be decent. I have good faith there. With Alvarez at the bottom lineup, I love the bottom of the lineup. Bottom lineup makes me excited when I see 7, 8, 9. I'm like, oh, we can turn this over and do something here. And Alvarez can put a big splash out there. I'm very concerned with Soto out. I'll say 3, 4, 5. When Soto's back, I'll say 4, 5, 6. Because Polanco has not hit his stride yet. Obviously, he had a very, very good year last year. And then the Beatty Vientos mishmash of that, Jared Young, obviously, he bats a little later in the lineup. Luis Robert has been very good so far. And like the patience has been key for him so far. But I think that's the linchpin because at the end of the day, when Soto's healthy, he's on base. When Bo Bichette's in the lineup, he's proven he's going to hit 290 or above. I mean, he had 1 year in his career. He hit like 250. He was hurt for half the year. Clearly was not right. That dude bats 290, hits a ton of doubles. Love Bo Bichette here. 4, 5, 6, Polanco, Beatty, Vientos, whoever it's going to be on a given day. What is that portion of the lineup going to do if Lindor, Soto, and Bichette are doing their job, getting on base? Soto's on base at 400, etc. Are they hitting home runs? Are they going to be a doubles machine team? Are they going to fall on their face? That's my concern, Cody.
That's a very reasonable concern because they're all like I still I've liked more of the at bats that Polanco's taken despite the results. I do think he's just like a pretty solid hitter. Nothing that's going to jump off the page, but I do think he can drive in runs. I do trust him in that scenario where it's like runner on third, less than 2 outs. I'm good with Polanco coming up to the
Right.
plate over some other guys. Luis Roberts just like this ultimate X factor of like what are we going to get from him? Because if he stays patient, I think he's just going to be awesome because he's been that way so far. And he obviously has the pop. But like the world where Vientos steps up into old Mark Vientos, I think is the clearest, most straight line path to that hole being covered up. Mark Vientos hits 25 homers and hits 275. Boom. We're not worried about that for the year. Mark Vientos goes back to what we saw last year, and now there's a lot more pressure on Beatty, Polanco, and Luis Robert. That's where the concern is. That's a good thing to keep an eye on as the season goes.
Yeah, and I think doubles are going to be interesting here because if you look at the first 10 or 11 games, I don't know if these stats on Baseball Reference have updated from today's game yet. Now that I'm looking at them here, but the Mets have 9 home runs, which is not not a special number by any means. They don't feel like a home run team at this point in time, especially now with Soto out of the lineup.
Right.
They have 17 doubles, Cody. 17 doubles, 3 triples. They're a team that should live in extra base land, even if they're not hitting a ton of home runs. And I think that in a world of baseball that's very home run forward, a lot of talk about the home run, a lot of talk about OPS. What else helps your OPS, Cody? Extra base hits in any facet.
Walks.
Doubles and triples and walks. Yeah. And guess what? A lot of these guys on the Mets right now are looking like some of their most disciplined selves that they ever have. Lindor, Luis Robert obviously jumped to mind in that conversation. All right, Cody, 11 games in on the Mets. Any last words? Any predictions? How are we feeling? Are we feeling overall like you're going to see them weather the Soto storm here? Is that how you're feeling?
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even say this, but I mentioned in our chat, I think I said it in another one of ours. I am very, very happy with the fact that he is on the IL. the fact that he is not going to be able to push his way into the lineup, not rush himself back. I know that it's like, oh, 2 to 3 weeks and no Soto. Fine. Let Mark Vientos keep it rolling. Let him keep getting at bats. More importantly, bring back Juan Soto when Juan Soto is 100% healthy. That's what I want to see. So he is ready for the inevitable World Series run that we're going on this year.
You know, he's never in his entire career missed more than 12 games.
Yeah, he is an Iron Man. Not really talked
Never,
about.
never missed more than 12 games in a season. And obviously, if you look at Baseball Reference, you'll see 2020 reminder that is the COVID shortened season. So don't want to count that one. Obviously, it's just like 150, 151, 53, 162, 157, 160. So the fact that he's hurt now at 27, calf strain, it is serious. It is something that you should not push the limits on.
Right.
So I'm kind of with you on that front. Like, let's not try to do too much here. He'll be
Yep.
back, and they should be fine. And the fact that they win this game against Zach Gallen, who, is Zach Gallen like the be all and all? No, but like he's a opening day
Solid.
starter for a
Mhm.
decent team, and they battled. They go into extras. The bullpen was strong, and they win a big game with Mauricio's first step at back in the bigs after getting called up. You love to see it. You
It's
love to see it.
another game they won trailing after the 8th inning. They won
Yeah.
0 of those games last year.
The whole year.
They might have snuck one in on us, but I believe they went the whole year without winning a game trailing after 8 innings.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Let me get my stats guy on it. Alyssa.
We're on the up
Oh my
and up,
God, she's right
Cody.
there. I'm just kidding.
I
I didn't think she was right there.
While you look that up, we'll switch over to the Yankees and feel free to pop in when you figure that one out. But the Mets are in a decent spot, even without Soto. I think they're going to weather the storm and be in a good place. The New York Yankees, they're currently playing as we speak. Perhaps not as many Yankee fans listening live on Twitter and YouTube, but we are live on Twitter and YouTube. If you're listening on the podcast app, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you may be listening, you might be listening to this tomorrow. And hopefully the Yankees hold on to a win there. The Yankees, Cody, get off to this insane pitching start where they gave up 8 runs in their first 7 games, 3 shutouts. Schlittler was insane. Fried was insane. Everything pumping for the Yankees pitching rotation, and the hitters were not too shabby as well. But obviously, pitching like they did the first 2 series is not going to last forever. It never will, and you can't expect it. So they've come down to earth a little bit, but still obviously in great shape here. So the New York Yankees, Cody, come into the season every year with World Series expectations. They come in every year, which you should win the AL East. And obviously the AL East might be the best division in baseball, even though the Red Sox have been ass so far this year. Are we feeling positively about the Yankees with their fast pitching start and their lineup looking deeper? Is there any major negatives that you're feeling with them right now?
I mean, when you are missing Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, and Luis Heel,
Mm-hmm.
and pitching the way you are, because you got to know that Yankees fans coming into the season rightfully were like, this might be the best staff in baseball.
Right.
At minimum, it's one of the best, but it's going to take a little time before it looks like itself. And you've got some of those horses coming back. I mean, how can you feel anything but that excitement knowing that you can kind of rest your laurels on the starting pitching and the bullpen that is almost yearly good? Their lineup looks the exact same as it did last year, which I think what we were saying last year was it didn't feel quite so. It was Judge and Soto dependent, not so Judge dependent. There was a little bit more of a balance in there, and they've got a guy like a Ryan McMahon who, hey, Ryan McMahon gets going, like anything offensively is going to be a huge plus because you know what he is defensively. Jazz Chisholm's just a really good ball player.
Right.
Cody Bellinger is just a good ball player, and he just looks so comfortable there. So I think that they should feel really good. Of course, they're going to win 90 games. They do it every year. But it's not that for the Yankees. We know that. That's not what it is. Like for Mets fans, we always are like, let's just make the playoffs, please, and then we'll worry about the rest. For Yankees fans, it's like, all right, the season doesn't really start until the playoffs. Very different, but there's no reason to think anything but optimistically.
I'm back. I'm back here. Hey, sorry about that.
If I was live during that time,
You were.
okay, that's not going to be our best podcasting moment then.
Well, my connection just I don't know what happened there. My screen just went black and I jumped out of the connection there. I was watching you on my phone on Twitter. I was like, "Oh yeah, he doesn't realize I think he's maybe forgetting we're live or whatever. It's all good. Here we go. We're back. How you doing?"
I was no, I saw your screen went black, and we're gritty podcasters, so we've pushed through things like this time and time
Yes.
again. So I just finished my point, and then you were gone, and then I just didn't freeze like computer froze. I personally just froze and did nothing
Well,
for
also
one
in
minute.
your defense, what happens when we deal with connection issues when we're not live
Mhm.
is like say I'm like choppy or whatever, you kind of just nod your head while you
Yeah, yeah,
assume the
yeah.
person's talking.
All
You're
right.
like, "Oh, he's definitely responding to me right now," and I can't hear him, but it's definitely recording properly because the technology is great. But then you didn't know, so you're just like probably going like this. Yeah. Wow. Great point. That's awesome. And then I just wasn't there. So
Yeah.
it's all right. Here we are. We're back, baby. Um, so I don't know what you finished off there with the Yankees on your last point there. You
It was
said
a point of optimism,
about
but I
right.
which I think you and I typically do every year because we see the Yankees win much more than our team. But it's really how I feel. Like I don't know why in April I shouldn't feel optimistic about the Yankees because their
Yeah,
season every year starts in October.
correct. And you know what? Typically over the last few years, they've been fast starters, which we
Hmm.
always say on this podcast in many places. You can't win the World Series in April, but you can lose it,
Hmm.
right? Like you can't win it here, but you can lose it. And the Yankees do a great job every year of making sure they're in good shape heading into midsummer, heading into October. This is the start that you want, right? Like the pitching staff has been phenomenal. The hitters have been doing their job. I think we can get to question marks, which I have some, and we'll talk about those in a minute. But that's what the Yankees do, and they're on track for that again. And you mentioned all the arms that are coming back on top of how
Yeah.
good they've looked so far. Golly, I mean, last week or 2 weeks ago, I was talking about Freed and how he deserves even more credit than he gets. And yeah, has he had great playoff appearances in his career in Atlanta and New York? No, he's had struggles, but every regular season he's just been a monster, and he's been that guy again for the Yankees so far this year. So you love to see it. On the question mark front, however, Cody, I think my biggest one is going to be Trent Grisham. This is a guy
Mm.
who was a below average hitter his entire career. And I joked 2 weeks ago, last year he just turned into Jim Edmonds. Like that, he just became Jim Edmonds because he's a beast in center field. You rarely see somebody look so smooth and nonchalant and still be that good of a defender out there in center. And then he decided to just hit a million home runs. Trent Grisham, bat and leadoff, million home runs.
Yeah, what
How
did he hit
about that?
last year? 34 or something like that?
He hit, it might have been more than 34. I'm going to double check that right now. He hit last year. He had 34 home runs. Cody, good job.
I'm so smart.
34 home runs, and his OPS was 811. His OPS plus was 125. And granted, if he hit a normal amount of home runs for Trent Grisham, his OPS would have been 100 at best, right? Based off all the other stuff that he was doing. Like he only batted 235. The on base percentage was 348. Those are not amazing numbers. But when you hit that type of home run number at the leadoff spot, holy shit. But before that in his career, we're talking about 10 home runs, 15 home runs, 17 home runs, 13 home runs, 9 home runs, 34. If this
Yeah.
was 2001, we'd be talking about the juice with Trent Grisham. So is he going to be able to hold down that leadoff position? Is he going to be able to hit the ball out of the park like he did last year? That is the question for me, Cody, because if he sucks, which so far this year, he's not been very good. He has not hit a home run yet this year. He's batting under 200, obviously small sample size. If he's bad and they have to find a new leadoff hitter, that's a problem for this lineup. That becomes a real question mark for this lineup.
Right, because who does it become? And along that same front, again, I've watched a handful of Yankees games. Heck, I've even missed a lot of Mets games recently. But um, has Anthony Volpe been playing? Is he hurt?
He's hurt. He's
Is
hurt.
okay? Because it's been Caballero, right, for the most
Yeah,
part
yeah.
at shortstop. Okay, so
Mhm.
that's more of an injury thing then. Okay,
That
didn't
is an
realize.
injury thing.
Because he's a viable option. You've seen Volpe at the leadoff spot. Like if it does go wrong for Trent Grisham, he almost definitely maintain center field because he's such a good center fielder. You
Right.
could easily drop him down. The bigger question, like you said, is like, are you going to lead off with Ben Rice? Are you going to lead
He's
off
been
with
a beast this year.
Jazz Flute Chisholm? Like, what are you gonna do at lead off? Jazz Flute,
And I
Anchorman.
like that. I gave you a little um those options are tough because Rice is a mainstay in the middle of their lineup so far
Yeah,
this
I
year.
agree with that.
He's been their best hitter so far this year, kind of like not even close. Obviously, again, only 9 games, so whatever. Jazz is not a leadoff type guy. He really is like a poppy extra base hit.
Right, but he
Yeah, he'll
did have
still
a lot of leadoff experience in Miami.
for sure, but like he on a good Jazz year, you're on basing what 340. You
Right,
know what
right,
I
right.
mean? Like it's not like he's a guy. And granted, that's what Trent Grisham did last year. So maybe Jazz is the answer to that question. I don't know. Ben Rice in years past would be probably the answer to this
Mhm.
because they tried Austin Wells to bat lead off, if you remember.
Yeah.
Um, that didn't work out. Maybe it would be have to be him. At the end of the day, it's not going to be Cody Bellinger as well because I think they like him so much after Judge. Um,
Yeah, yeah, you have to keep
so
someone
it might have to be
formidable enough
Rice,
after Judge.
right? Maybe it has to be Ben Rice. I don't know, but another thing, and
Could
this is
it
not a
be
negative. This is a
Caballero?
pot. He's not a hitter like that. You know what I mean? Like he's a amazing defender with some sneaky upside offensively, I feel like.
Could he
So
get
I
on
would
base?
say
Because I always noticed him as like a type of guy where I'm like, oh, like he does a lot of things well, and I just
he's getting
don't
busy.
watch enough to be like strong opinion enough on him to say, well, whether he can or can't. Maybe it's Ahmed Rosario.
Well, and if he's maybe only going to play like against lefties, so maybe against lefties you put a Ahmed Rosario in that spot. Otherwise, you're definitely stuck with question marks. I'm just curious now with Caballero. I don't know if he's ever. Yeah,
Hey,
he's never on base better than
not enough.
343 in his career. So
Mhm.
I don't think so.
Not to go completely off topic, but I found the answer to the question I was looking for. The Mets were 0-70 last year in games they trailed after the eighth inning. They were the only team without a win of such sort. So go
That
Mets.
is
It's
ridiculous, Cody.
stagger 0-70. It's
You know how
staggering.
hard it is to not have one win
Yeah, one win
when
makes the playoffs too. Go Mets.
literally, literally,
One
my
in
God.
69.
Well, you
That's
know
all
what?
we
You
ask.
know, the term like, oh, they got BABIP to death. Like that's a popular thing. Like when your team hits the ball hard all game but doesn't get a lot of hits. It's like
Yeah.
that Mets stat is basically getting BABIP to death for a full season, specifically in the eighth inning of later when you're losing. Oh,
It's really
and
hard to do.
70?
Oh, it's very hard
That's
to do, Pete.
ridiculous. You're right. Literally one or two moments, which they had obviously a ton of options. Obviously, 70 of those, not all of them were one-run games, obviously.
Right.
Yeah, but how many of them were one-run, two-run games where they had a guy up with a guy on or a chance to win, et cetera? At least probably 30. They win 3 of those and they're in the playoffs without a skin off their back.
Yeah.
Sheesh. Oh my God, it's horrible. That's horrible.
Yeah.
One more positive for the Yankees here, Cody. Every single game of healthy Giancarlo Stanton makes this team elite, in my opinion. I think he doesn't get nearly enough credit. Even when he's batting 250, he's still hitting the ball out of the park. He's hitting doubles. He even stole a freaking base the other day.
I
How about
did see
that,
that.
Giancarlo Stanton? His presence in this lineup, in my opinion,
Mhm.
obviously no one touches Aaron Judge, I think is the most important. And you can argue that Cody Bellinger is the second best hitter on this team. You can argue he's the second most important player. But to me, specifically, just the presence of Giancarlo Stanton in the lineup is incredibly important. And the statistics over the last few years just prove out on that. When he's healthy, the Yankees are winning. And he looks good right now. He's hitting the ball. He's batting 390 so far this year. He's got 2 doubles and a home run. Um, it's a completely different lineup when Giancarlo Stanton's there. And every game he's healthy, Yankee fans should be thrilled.
Oh, Rosario hit 2 today? Sorry, it's funny, they're showing the post game, and as you were saying that, they showed Stanton striking out just ugly on a slider, of course, but the word you kept using is presence, and I just think that's such a great word because he has such a presence in that box, like, a pitcher knowing I cannot make a mistake to this guy, he will punish me. How many guys are really in each lineup that you can say that? Like a really good lineup has probably 3 of them, right? The Yankees have probably somewhere about 2.5. Like Judge is the most in all of baseball, and then you've got some like really, really good hitters. Stanton completely changes the math of the lineup, and we say it every year. It's so damn true, and even more so in the playoffs because we've seen what he is as a proven playoff commodity.
Yeah, and I'm excited to watch him. Obviously, the playoffs for him have been incredible, and as a guy who doesn't particularly root for the Yankees, obviously, like Stanton doing well does make me happy. Like it does give me a little bit of excitement, Cody. It gives me something to be excited about. Are we feeling good about their AL East contendership? I gotta just say yes, right? Like I think you're just
Yeah,
feeling
I think it
they're gonna be the best team.
feels. Doesn't it feel a little bit like Toronto's probably a team that caught lightning in a bottle last year more than a sustained winner, and Boston was the team that I think a lot of people were like a sexy type of pick for the AL East.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
so early. Like, let's not sit here and be like, oh, Boston's done now. Like, that's not the case. But obviously, the start is pretty staggering for
Yeah, they
them.
look bad.
Baltimore, I just don't really love like the ownership there, and I just don't trust the team whatsoever.
Right.
Plus, the first baseman's not that good, and
Ha.
then and the Rays will probably be like an 82 win team that'll just be annoying. But if you're a Yankees fan, you've got to feel super confident about the division.
Yeah, you really should. There's no reason to feel anything else about that. Here we go. Last year, Yankees were maybe not as good as I thought with Stanton in versus out of the lineup. They were 35-30 in games that Stanton started. So not as good as I thought, but I'm pretty sure in years back it's been pretty big number there on how much better they were with Stanton versus without Stanton. Yeah, I agree with you, Cody. They're the favorite. They should be the favorite. They're the best team right now, especially as their pitching staff continues to get stronger. I have one more Mets question for you before we talk some basketball. When do we, as Mets fans, get to stop hearing about Pete Alonso and Brandon Nimmo every time they do something? Because most of them have been bad, except for Nimmo so far this year. But we're still hearing about them every time Pete Alonso gets a freaking hit.
I don't know. Maybe like when Jorge Polanco takes off or so. Pete, like we as Mets fans are so scarred in our lives. We're so used to pain and misery and failure, to be quite honest. And even in the Steve Cohen era, there has been like super high ups and there's been super, super big lows. And so I just think we're a scarred group that's really never going to be like fully healed. And
Mm.
so we'll probably always be doing that. And we're going to do the same with Diaz. And there's going to be a series with the Dodgers where Diaz just blows the Mets away. And we're going to be like, be nice to have that guy, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
I
not
mean,
going to go away.
it's just like I know the Mets fans can do it to themselves in a
We do.
way, and our history, like you mentioned, is obviously scarred in so many ways. But Nimmo, I was never that sad about losing Nimmo. Maybe that's part of it. I don't think anyone's really sad about losing McNeil. I was sad about losing Alonso, and I was very sad about losing Diaz. And that's
Agreed.
kind of the whole tier of all of it. But like David Stearns told us a year ago
hmm
that he didn't want to re-sign Alonso.
hmm
Even he didn't say it out loud, but he told us that he wasn't going to do it. So we all knew this was coming, and yet there's still this huge segment of people, and I think a lot of it is non-Mets fans just poking fun at Mets fans for losing our all-time leader in home runs and a guy who hits 40 home runs every year. So I do get it, but it's like this team. I can't say this enough, Cody. The Mets weren't good last year. They were bad. In fact, this core that we loved for many reasons never really did shit. They made it to one NLCS. That's great. That's it. You need to make moves, man. It's the same concept with the Knicks, which is my segue because we're going to start talking about some basketball here. It's like Tom Thibodeau wasn't the answer. Is Mike Brown the answer? Probably not. We'll get to it. Pete Alonso wasn't the answer. Is Polanco the answer? Is Bichette the answer? We don't know yet. Maybe, maybe not. But I want to be done with that already. I want to be happy when Alonso hits 45 home runs.
I
I
will
like
be,
Pete Alonso.
honestly. I really will
I
be.
am.
I don't think he
I'm
will hit that,
rooting
but
for him.
I will be rooting for him. And Nimmo. Not Diaz.
Nimmo
I hope Diaz just plays in the World Baseball Classic this year again. Somehow, some way. I don't care. I don't root for injury. I hope
and
the worst.
celebrates just off the mound.
I hope somehow in Los Angeles his driveway is just filled with snow all the time and it's icy and he slips. I don't care. I hate him.
Especially because it's the freaking Dodgers.
It's the Dodgers.
It's
Sure.
like that's Kevin Durant to the Warriors snake shit.
I never even liked Timmy Trumpet.
Kind of. I never once jammed out to that song. Ever. Always
It's not on my phone anymore. It is a lot like Kevin Durant. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. Thunder fan. Good segue. Perfect
that one
segue. Let's go
killed me. Let's do it.
Thunder. All right. Talk about basketball on Subway Sports Talk right here. We're live on Twitter. We're live on YouTube. Pete Kennedy and Cody O'Connor. It's time to talk some hoops, Cody. We're within like a handful of games for each team left before the seeding is set and the NBA playoffs start. And the contenders haven't changed much in basketball per se, outside of, Luka Doncic's health and Cade Cunningham's health. Outside of that, we're still talking about your Thunder, talking about the Spurs.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Jokic and the Nuggets, and we're talking about the Celtics, and apparently, way over here, the Knicks and the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
Is this to you, as a Thunder fan who's watched them more than anyone I know, is this to you an open NBA contender season, or is this like a crack in the window that the Thunder just need to slam that window shut?
Well, I've certainly wavered because at some point they were like struggling and I was pretty pessimistic about what I was watching and their ability to turn it around. And then since the All-Star break, they've been phenomenal. I think they've lost like twice since the All-Star break and haven't opened up a lead at all because of how good San Antonio's been. The Celtics are very, very for real. They are, to me, the team to beat in the East. And if it's the Thunder and the Celtics, I'll be worried about them. I haven't thought all year. I still don't think that this is an open and shut Thunder win. Like, I think they're the best team with the highest ceiling and probably the highest floor as well. I don't think that they go into a series with Denver and I go, I don't even need to watch this one. Absolutely not. I think San Antonio, it's very real what they did to them in the regular season. I think they are a matchup problem for them. Wemby and the way that he alters your offense and shot creation and the things he does to this type of team is very real. So I don't think that there is just like a let's not even worry about watching it out west. It's the Thunders. I don't believe that. I do think.
So would you agree with the statement that like the front door is not open, but like the window in the back is definitely unlocked and open?
Yeah, the front door has probably got a code on it, and like 3 out of the 4 numbers, maybe. And
Got
you
it.
can't like you're like, if
Wow.
I just go through the other 9, I'm gonna get this eventually. And do I have enough time for that? They're coming home. They're right down the street.
Top tier analogy work by you, Codio.
Yeah, we got one of those doors that worked for me.
What are the first 3 numbers in that one?
For the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
That was my code at my old place. I'll just tell you that. I don't live there anymore. That was the code. I didn't make it.
So yeah, man, I'm super excited to watch it. I'm excited for how this is starting to fall the Thunder's way, though. I will say, like, with the chance of the Lakers falling into the 4 seed and Denver moving up to the 3 and avoiding Denver and San Antonio until the conference finals, letting those 2 teams beat up on each other, which I think you'd see a 7-game series. That's about as good as you can ask for as a Thunder fan. I mean, you can't ask for much more than that.
Yeah, that's true. And it's going to be interesting what happens with Luka and Reeves now as well. We'll mention him because obviously their team hitting the stride that they did was so much credited to Luka, but Reeves being at full swing is super important there as well. And I think the Rockets are this insanely weird, annoying, inconsistent team now who's won 6 in a row. Can they figure it out? I don't know. I don't think anyone's really scared of them per se, but I think you have to take them very seriously, right? So if you get Lakers Rockets in round 1 and then you get Rockets in round 2, I still don't think the Thunder are worried about changing that lock right away.
No, but I think I'd rather see the Rockets. I'm sorry, I'd rather see the Lakers even with full health than this is crazy to say.
No, come
Luka
on.
Doncic. But here's the thing, dude. I've been saying this since the beginning. I said this on this podcast beginning of the year and I think you actually agreed that I just don't think that the Lakers have the athleticism to keep up with a team like OKC or a team like San Antonio. I think they're super limited. Like, they don't have rim protection. It's DeAndre Ayton down there.
Yeah,
You're
it's true.
very Marcus Smart reliant. That's not
Oof.
a great place to be.
Nah, it's not good.
Not at this point in his career. Rui Hachimura is a fine player. He's very inconsistent. Reeves is a dog. Luka is a dog. LeBron is aging like a dog. He's old, dude. He's just, can he keep up in a 7-game series? Like, the Rockets, the thing with them, and now that they don't have Steven Adams, I don't feel the same fear towards them, but they are athletic and they're strong and they are a team that at least has a Kevin Durant to score late in the clock. Like, I don't know if I'd rather see the Rockets if I'd be like, ooh, that's way better than the Lakers. I really don't know. I really don't, Pete. I really don't.
I still would rather play the Rockets just based upon their now full season of struggles at the end of these games.
That is going to be a 52-win team, though, that we're talking about struggling this much.
For sure, but their struggles have been specific. Like, they struggle scoring the ball at the end of the game, which is against OKC, a death sentence. Like, with a team that plays defense like the Thunder, to have that be your struggle, you know what I mean? Like, if defense was your struggle, it's like, all right, you're going to ratchet up in the playoffs. If you can just figure out a way to get one guy cold, you know, blah, blah, blah. There's a way, there's a path. But your struggle being late game execution, not knowing who to give the ball to, Durant or Şengün or Reed Shepherd or Amen Thompson, like, that is a whole different level of question to me than the Lakers defense, because Luka could average 40. You know, like, so there's something to that side of what your strength is versus your weakness that makes me a little bit less scared than the Rockets.
Let me rephrase then. OKC shouldn't lose to either of those teams.
That's for sure true.
That's the way it should
for
be.
Sure.
Denver and San Antonio are super scary, and I'd be more afraid of Minnesota than LA or Houston. That
for sure.
I do believe in.
For that, I think is completely sound. All right, let's pop around some of these other teams here, but first let me read some of the odds that we have in totality. Thunder plus 120 to win the finals, which is just, God, Cody, like, you know, what are you going to do?
Should it be any different than that, though? Can I, like, from your perspective, should it be 2-1? Is 120 a fair price?
I think 2-1. I mean, you have to remember that even though they are clear-cut favorites and they are the best team in the NBA, going back to back is insanely difficult.
It doesn't happen in recent history.
That would be like the main reason why you just take the other teams at the bigger plus numbers, just because, like, winning 2 in a row is rare. It happens. It feels like more frequently in the NBA than other sports, which is probably almost definitely true. If I had to guess, maybe, I don't know.
I think it would depend how far back but recent history, no, because the Chiefs have been able to do it. But the most recent NBA one is the Warriors, right? With the KD years.
True. That's a good point. It hasn't happened since the late teens. That's a good point. Because in our heads, you know, with our age being 30 years old, give or take, like, prime memory is Heat. Are you not 30 yet?
No, not yet. Hanging on.
I said that. I saw your eyes go up. I'm like, damn, this guy's.
No, it's just like, damn, he's put my business out there, dude. But then again, if anyone just looks, they're like, dude, you got gray hair, brother. We know you're old.
Your hair looks great tonight. Let me just throw that out there.
Thank you, brother.
You know what I'm saying? But the Warriors are top of mind. The Heat are top of mind. The Spurs never won back to back, but they won so many in a stretch.
Really?
Never won back to back.
That's a fun fact.
Yeah, they never won 2 in a row. But exactly, right? Exactly the point of the OKC Thunder being plus 120. Like, damn, bro, because they're Spurs-esque, if you will, with how consistent and deep they are in team ball that they play.
I've compared them to the Spurs.
Yeah, that tracks. So then Celtics are plus 500, Spurs plus 550, Nuggets plus 900, Cavs plus 1,500, Knicks 1,900, Pistons 2,500. Then big jump plus 5,000 to the T-Wolves. And then the Lakers currently are plus 30,000, Cody. And I think if Luka was healthy right now, they'd be in that mix with Minnesota solely off the fact that public will jump on Luka and LeBron and et cetera.
I wish we could look at it retroactively. They were probably somewhere around the lines of the Knicks. Like, I would guess they were probably 20-1.
I'm sure Lakers. If we had the ability to search Twitter of like those posts that they make, we can find it from a few weeks ago.
All right,
But
I'm
you're
into
almost
it.
definitely right. I think I probably commented on one on Twitter. I could find it. But yeah, so that is the odds. Is there any odds there that do jump out to you, Cody? Whether you think somebody should be higher, lower? We talked about the Thunder, so not regarding them. Like,
Mhm.
should the Celtics and Spurs be even closer to the Thunder? Do you think there's too much dip on the chip for the odds or either of those two? Do the Cavs and Knicks jump out to you? Because I have some thoughts, but I want to hear yours first.
I wonder if our thoughts are the same, Pete. I can't. I know that Cade's hurt, but 25-1 on the Pistons, like they're the number one seed in the East. If you watch them play, even without Cade, they play hard as hell. They're
Yeah.
no fun team to play against, and I think they have enough shooting now around with Duncan Robinson's resurgence and some of these guys. Like I'm getting 5-1 on them to win the East, and I think that's a huge leap because you're going to get Cade back. You're pretty sure of that at this point. Jalen Duren is a proven all-star style player, and then they just play their asses off every
Yeah.
night. Like I watched their C team. They were missing everyone except for Russell Thompson and guys I've never heard of. A guy who watches a lot of basketball, by the way. Didn't
Right.
know most of them. They took OKC at pretty much full strength to overtime.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, it was in Oklahoma City. That team being 25-1 is the very first thing I see and go, oh, that just doesn't, that seems too far off for me.
And now, what do you think that is? Do you think that is a Cade specific thing? Is
Partially.
it that, or is it that they still haven't made it out of a first round? Because if so, then like the Spurs shouldn't be 550.
I don't,
If that's the logic.
yeah, I don't think they are the public's idea of a championship team,
Mm,
if that makes sense. Like it's Cade Cunningham who people are getting accustomed to. There are still a lot of public people out there who don't quite know just how good he is.
right.
And I don't think they fully realize what that type of team is. Like they are a team with an identity. Again, I will tell you time and time again how hard they play, how challenging they are to play, how physical they are. They kind of play a lot like Oklahoma City, a lot
Mm,
like what I think Phoenix played like this year, who also don't think is just a fun matchup. Like they have a real identity, but they also have enough scoring and talent around to match some of these other teams. So while I think Boston is the favorite in the East, I think there's a real argument that Detroit is the next team and should be the next team and should be considered the next team right now. And 25-1 is not an indication of that.
Now, my next question to you, because I think that's a very good point, and this would be my question on the odds here. I don't get why the Cavs. I shouldn't say that. I get why the Cavs have better odds than the New York Knicks. I just do not agree with it. So the Cavs at plus 1,500, the Knicks at plus 1,900. Knicks have been better than the Cavs all year. I know
Yeah.
they're one game apart, but the Knicks have been better than the Cavs all year. Since they got James Harden, the Cavs have been better. They've been healthier. They got their full guys. They're full, Jared Allen's back. Mobley's playing. Mitchell's been great, whatever. Are we betting on James Harden in the playoffs? And you know me, Cody. I've been one of the biggest James Harden defenders in recent history.
Yeah.
I've had to give it up
You
a little
defend
bit.
James Harden harder than James Harden defends opponents.
Bang. Another banger from Cody O'Connor right there. Why are we putting faith in a Cavs team who has not had any playoff success?
None.
Who added James Harden, known for his lack of playoff success, over a Knicks team that was in the conference finals last year, that has made it out of the first round 3 years in a row.
Oh, yeah.
That has a proven clutch time scorer in Jalen Brunson, who has done it in playoffs for years in a row, who has depth, who has Cat playing the best basketball of his season right now, and a guy like Mitchell Robinson, who has made the Cavs look like baby boys in playoffs.
He makes everyone look like that, by the way.
Correct. The reason that this might be, Cody.
Yeah, this is what I want to hear.
This is why I think this is. I just don't agree with it.
Okay.
The Cavs are in fourth. So what the odds are telling us is that the Cavs have a better chance than the Knicks because the Cavs, if they beat the Hawks in round one, which I think will be a very difficult series for them, they could easily lose it, by the way. Then they get the Pistons perhaps in round two, or
avoiding Boston.
Avoiding Boston till basically round three.
Okay.
However, that being said, I think literally the Cavs can lose to Atlanta.
Agreed.
I think the Cavs can lose to Detroit.
Agreed.
And if somehow the Charlotte Hornets are the ones that beat Detroit, I think the Cavs can lose to the Charlotte freaking Hornets, Cody.
Yeah.
I think the Knicks could lose to the Charlotte Hornets, by the way.
I don't.
And on top of that, yeah, sure. On top of that, in the Eastern Conference strength, power poll right now,
yeah,
the Knicks probably feel better about playing Boston than any other team in the East.
Do you, as a Knicks fan, feel you'd rather see Boston than Detroit, given how Detroit has handled them during the regular season, or does that not matter to you?
It doesn't really matter, and I think I may have phrased my statement wrong there. I'm not saying that the Knicks would rather play Boston than they would the Pistons or the Cavs or the Hawks or etc. I'm saying that the Knicks would hold on. Let me say this right. The Knicks have the best chance theoretically against the Boston compared to the other teams. So if anyone is going to beat the Boston Celtics, like if we're going to put a power rankings of teams who could beat Boston, I think the Knicks should be atop that list. They just did it last year.
Mm-hmm.
They've had success against them this year, pre-Tatum injury. They play each other, I think, this week or next week. But the Knicks are built to beat Boston. We saw it last year.
Mm-hmm.
The whole purpose of Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby coming to the Knicks was to be able to compete with Boston. And it worked, Cody. I think people really forget about that. It worked. Did it make them as comfortable against Detroit and Cleveland and Oklahoma City? Probably not. But it actually did make them better against Boston. It worked. So I don't get that the odds reflect the Cavs having a better chance to get to the title and win the title than the Knicks, because I do think the Knicks have a better chance than any other Eastern Conference team to actually beat the Celtics.
And the
Celtics are the clear-cut favorite.
Like, if we were to just take it in a vacuum, the Knicks are better than the Cavs. Have been better in the
agree.
Like, I just think the Knicks are a better team, more proven. So I don't understand those odds. I think the odds in the East should go Boston, Detroit, New York. And I think it's Boston, kind of a leap to get to Detroit.
With the Cade injury, I think it's reasonable to have Detroit below, just because you don't know yet. But yes, I hear you.
Saying that Cade's going to be there.
Okay.
This is me assuming Cade and his health, because that's what I keep seeing, is that he's close, he's feeling better, and that he should be back. So this is my assumption of him being back, which maybe the odds jump again. But the Cavs being above the Knicks is blasphemy. It's just... it doesn't make sense. Like, you laid out every point. I'm not touching it anymore. James Harden, the Cavs playoff woes, all this nonsense. It doesn't add up to me saying, I think that I'm going to take the Cavs because they have a juicy number. I just don't buy it at all.
Right.
So to me, it's... Go ahead.
Now, I was saying, what's going to be funny is when I clip you saying that you think the Cavs having better odds than the Knicks is blasphemous, people are going to comment saying that you don't know ball and that you're being a Knicks homer. And they don't know that you're not a Knicks fan. And it's going to be very fun. It's going to be very funny for me.
They do think that they know that I don't know ball. But little do they know that I at least think I know ball.
And they don't know ball. Now, the don't know ball culture on the internet is so funny to me, by the way. This is an aside. Because if you just disagree with somebody and they made a point that has reasonable arguments to it, you can just comment and say, just say you don't know ball, bro. And then you can walk, into your living room like, wow, I just friggin' told that guy. I
just crushed that guy.
Oh, that guy sucks. I just told him he doesn't know ball. Even though he laid out a well thought out argument with 3 points, and you could disagree and you can say, actually, I believe your point is incorrect because of this, but you just decide to say, you don't know ball, bro. Just say you're a casual.
The internet's unbelievable, because I don't know what you see, Pete. Like, for the Knicks, maybe there's Knicks fans who you're like, dude, what are you talking about? Or maybe there's Knicks haters, like other fans that are just you're like, dude, are you even watching? Because my timeline is flooded with people who complain about SGA and the way he plays.
Oh yeah.
Then they complain about OKC and the way that they play. Then they complain about this and that. And I'm like, whew, I got to get off of this place. Because when I listen to people who really talk basketball and watch the games, I'm like, oh, that their opinion's not like these people at all. That's
Right.
not what they're saying at all.
Go figure. These people on the internet who just say crazy shit are
Yeah.
crazy. How about that?
I mean,
Wild.
our very own, we know, like, people do it sometimes
Mm.
just to literally enrage other people
Yeah.
because they know that's gonna get them clicks, and it's
Yeah.
smart, Pat.
Eh, Speaking of clicks, Knicks for clicks is a hot topic sometimes on the internet as well. I do also think the Knicks being the New York Knicks and the Cavs being the Cleveland Cavaliers plays into it a little bit because the Cavs, if the Cavs, if the, I'm sure I should say this, if the Knicks had stretches of the season that the Cavs had, it'd be like first take headlines and social media headlines. When the Cavs were not right this year, which they weren't to start the year, they were really bad. No one really cared,
True.
right? And then they got better. It's like, oh, James Harden's here. They're good now. The Cavs are good now. This is fun. Da da da. Okay, that's great. The Knicks get both sides of the spectrum publicly, and the Cavs really don't. So maybe that's part of it as well, right? No one knows about the bad press that the Cavs have, you know,
Yeah.
because
But
no one talks about them
usually,
like that.
Pete, usually the odds start to reflect those New York markets. We see it all the time with the Mets when we're like, really, the Mets are the
Yeah,
fifth
right.
highest odds to win the World Series.
They were this year again with
They
all the
haven't
question
won
marks.
it in 40 years. Like, what are
Right.
we doing? But people like to bet the New York market. So that's another reason why this one, it's just strange to me, man. It's just
Yeah,
weird.
I agree. I agree. But let's talk about the Knicks for a second, actually, their team,
Let's.
because I think that I've been on the side of all right, Knicks fans, like relax. This team is
Usually are.
not performing at their best at this
Mhm.
current moment in time, but they are a really good team with a very good chance relative to their history, relative to the rest of the Eastern Conference to win the Eastern Conference. And now the odds say that they have the third best odds. I still think they have the second best chance. They still have a very good chance relative to how odds work to win the East and win the finals. That to me is undeniable. Talking about their actual on product team is a conversation though, Cody. If I told you that OG Ananobi, quote unquote, went off in the playoffs, or I told you that Mikal Bridges, quote unquote, went off in the playoffs, which do you think is a better outcome for the team, assuming the other guy is just like mediocre in and out? Okay.
Wow. What do I think works better for the Knicks? I feel like I'm being set up, but I think if Mikhail has that 25-point outburst, that's when the Knicks are really clicking because he's being aggressive, he's hunting his shot, and the rest falls into place.
Mm. I think you're right.
Oh, I thought
I
you
think
had
you're right.
like a defined answer.
No, I think you're right. I think that what I put that on TikTok and a few people kind of said what I was thinking was like OG doesn't disappear, right? So like Mikhail going off or OG going off, OG going off is probably closer to him having a mediocre season, a
Mhm.
mediocre series, where Mikhail going off is much more distant from his mediocre series, right? Like OG doesn't disappear because of his defense.
Right, he
He
does so
he
many things.
he does attack the rim. He does, go above the rim. He is not afraid to get fouled. Mikhail sometimes feels like he won't attack the rim. So I think Mikhail is the answer to that. I do obviously just think it's more likely that OG would be better because he's been sneakily very good
Really.
this year
Mhm.
and he hasn't gotten enough credit. The Knicks conversation is typically who are we blaming right now? Are we blaming Cat? Are we blaming Bridges? Are we blaming Brunson? Because maybe he's not facilitating enough. Are we blaming Mike Brown? And
Mike.
it hasn't been, are we giving credit to OG? Are we giving credit to Mitch Robinson? Are we giving credit to Cat when he plays well, et cetera? So I think that would be the answer. But from the perspective of this team's depth and lineup construction, when you hear the stat about the Knicks starting lineup being very mediocre this year, Cody, is that something that inspires you to say they need to make pretty wholesale changes to how they play the game? Or do you think that this five could actually just be better come playoff time?
Well, we've seen this 5 work for the last 2 years. Like, we've seen these stretches, not
The
consistently,
numbers the numbers are not great,
but what I'm
but yes.
saying is we've seen stretches or games or moments in time where it's like, "This shit works. It does click. These guys can play together." Then they get away from certain things or they forget to do things or Cat doesn't get fed the ball, or Mikal Bridges doesn't shoot more than 8 times in a game, or Mikal Bridges has 13 points in the half, ends the game with 15, like, and it's just 2 Brunson ISO. Like, whatever the case may be, I do believe that the team is constructed as a such that is going to be a hyper competitive, hard out, and a team that could and should win the East. Like, they're constructed to do so. I mean, you've got a great starting 5 and guys off the bench. They're using their bench more. I do think it all makes sense, but I think sometimes they get away from what makes them best, which all NBA teams do this, which is when the ball is moving and it's not just sticking and everyone's involved and there's motions, and you get Cat feeling good and happy and
Yes.
he's getting touches. And so now Cat's super involved on both sides. That's the Knicks' best version. I swear to God, Pete, I always point out, like, they played a game against Oklahoma City last year. I think it was the second or third quarter, and they felt so unstoppable as a team I watched who had the best defense in the history of the NBA, and they couldn't touch the Knicks because the ball just never stopped, and there were 5 legit forces on the offense that you couldn't, like, key in on one guy. That
And then you
version
watch
of
the
them is
third
in
quarter,
there.
and
Yeah,
then
they
you
got
watch the third quarter, and they were terrible, right?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, it's crazy. I say
OKC
this
came
on
back and won.
I said this on Twitter the other day. Like, the Knicks play 4 minutes like a championship team, and then 4 minutes like a play-in team. Like, that's how
Right.
they roll.
What
It's
is it,
very
though?
strange. So the reason I bring up the lineup thing to me is because when the Knicks go on these runs, which they're unfortunately a team of runs, they'll go down 10 frequently. They'll fight back from down 10 and win. They'll go up 15 and fall back to tied, etc. It always feels like these runs happen when Mitch is on the court, when Miles McBride is on the court, when OG gets hot, when Cat gets hot. To me, Brunson is their steadier. Brunson is their closer. For them to be at their best, Cat needs to be treated like a number one option. And the reason I say treated is because he's not the number one option and he shouldn't be the number one option, but he needs to be treated like one, if that makes any sense. Like Brunson getting to his 28 a game, it's always going to be a little outsized. Like, what's 28 divided by 4? What do we got?
7.
Friggin' 7. There you go. That's much
Football.
easier math than I was thinking there for a second.
Football.
Brunson doesn't score 7 points a quarter, right? He might score 10 and then only 4 and then whatever. And then in the fourth quarter, he might score 14.
And win me
That's
my parlay.
how he's going to do it, right? That's how he should be doing it for this team.
Right.
Cat should be treated like a guy who needs to get X amount of shots every quarter. That's how good he is offensively to me. And there's been too many stretches of this Knicks season and too many stretches of individual games where it's like, okay, like Cat's just like a center. Like if he gets an open shot, he gets an open shot. It's like, no, this dude needs to be fed the ball. He
Right.
scores at an insane, efficient clip. Feed the freaking man. Feed the man.
Especially because he's different than Brunson, Bridges, OG, Hart even. Like, Cat needs somebody to facilitate him the basketball. That's his
Right.
role on the team. That's who he is. He's not Nikola Jokic. Very few are. So he needs someone to feed him because it's such a cliche. It's the oldest saying, but like, get your big man involved, make him happy early, get him touches, because then he'll reward you on the glass. He'll be fully engaged in the game. Cat's a pretty emotional guy. I think all that stuff is super real. But
Mhm.
like, I also wonder forever why there's not more Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns pick and roll action. Like, how is that not an almost every possession? Because the pressure you put on a defense with the shooting they have around is unbelievable. Like, you just run that pick and roll. You could have Josh Hart running the baseline as a backdoor cutter while Mikal and OG are on the wings ready to catch and shoot. And both of those guys are able to put the ball on the floor. And all of a sudden, the defense is completely in scramble mode.
Right.
But
On
it's
their heels.
so rare to me that
They
I
ran it a
actually
lot
see,
last year, and the numbers were good on it, and they just don't as much this year.
I feel like they run it with Mitch a little bit more. Mitch is often
And it's all
out setting
he
a
can do, right?
screen.
All he can do is screen and roll and rebound. That's all he can do.
He does move enough to be like, at least he's not just standing still and like clogging
Yeah.
up space offensively.
Sets great screens. I mean,
Nope.
I fucking love Mitch. I gotta
Yeah,
say, he's so.
dude,
He's honestly
awesome.
too at this point in time. I hate to say this, he is a proven playoff commodity. He swings
You
playoff
shouldn't hate to
series.
say that.
I love to say it, actually. I don't know why I say I love to say it. I
Yeah.
love saying it. But like Cat has been on fire for the most part. Like he has these games where like, all right, if you look at his game log, yeah, he had 15 and 13, like 2 of the last 5 games. But then he had like 22 on like 7 of 8 shooting. What?
Mhm.
Get this. He's the best shooter on this team too. Also important to say that. He's the best shooter on the team. Like, he shoots 43% from 3 since the All-Star break. What are we talking about? Fucking get this guy the ball. Let
Yeah,
him
get him
rip.
the ball.
Someone needs to inspire him to be fully autonomous with his offensive ability. And yeah, of course, he'll then drive and throw an elbow in someone's face and get a dumb foul. He will do it. You have to
Yeah.
live with it. You have to live with that with Karl Anthony Towns. You
Yeah,
just
it's a
have to.
little it's super different, but it's a little bit like how I used to watch Russell Westbrook, where you'd go, it's like 90% of it's awesome, but the
Right.
10% is going to drive you the craziest it could possibly drive you. But you
Right.
do live with it because the grade is so great.
And the beauty in Cat is like he isn't the one man show on this team like Russ was.
Right.
So like he doesn't have like that 10% that drives you crazy should be it should be 5%. It still is 10, but whatever. All right, let's close up here, Cody, and I want to ask you this question. If the Oklahoma City Thunder and the
Hmm.
Boston Celtics do not make the finals for their respective conferences,
Hmm.
throw the odds out the window.
Okay.
Which team would be least shocking for you to represent their conference in the finals?
I think San Antonio would be a little less shocking because I think they do have the best chance to knock off Oklahoma City, and that's probably where we're headed towards in the
Mhm.
West. Even though Denver certainly wouldn't surprise me, it's those two. In the East, if it's not Boston, it's Detroit or the Knicks. And I really just, I think in the East, I guess both sides, it's probably a 6 team contendership, and it's 3-3. And I think I outlined the 3 on each
Mhm.
side. The Lakers are too banged up. It's not a hot take, but I said this back when we talked in like December or whenever we were back on here. Like, I just don't believe they have enough. Minnesota is super weird. Houston is super weird. Cleveland, super weird. Hornets, too young. Philly, super weird. Give me those
Mhm.
3 on each side. So,
No
Knicks
No
are
Atlanta
playing
shout
San
there?
Antonio.
No Atlanta shout?
I think Atlanta's a super cool, fun story. I
Yeah,
really
they're
like
not
what
there
they've
yet.
done. Rebuild, they're not there.
I agree.
Could they beat Cleveland in round 1?
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, and like I'm not trying to pile on Cleveland because like if the Cavs beat the Knicks in the playoffs now, like I feel like I'll just like beat myself up over it. But like they're not proven at all. And we always say like what we just said about the Spurs and maybe the Pistons too. It's like they don't have the scars yet, right? So if they do make it to the finals and win the championship, like it's a touch shocking, right? Wemby's never played in the playoffs. Detroit, this core's had one playoff series, right? So that is true, though we still have some faith in San Antonio and Detroit. The Knicks have scars now, right?
Mhm.
So, like, it's a
Plenty of
very
them.
weird thing. Unless you've won a title, which the Nuggets have and the Thunder have and the Celtics have, you say this team's either too young and inexperienced or they fail every year in the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, oh, they don't have enough scars yet, so they're not going to get there yet.
But the
But then the
Cavs have
teams
too
that
many.
have then the teams that have scars, their scars are too gnarly. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't always make full sense. My answer to the question would be Denver. For the least shocking team, just because I'm always just going to tip my cap to Nikola Jokic, and now Jamal Murray's playing, elite basketball. I'll just tip my cap there and go with the scars. I think the Nuggets can beat the Spurs. I think they could beat the Thunder. I don't think they will. I think the Thunder
I
will represent
agree,
the West.
by the way.
But yeah, and then in the East, I am going to say the Knicks. I am going to say the Knicks because they can beat the Celtics. And right now, no other team in the Eastern Conference has proven that they can beat the Celtics team, except for the Knicks.
So if you have it your way, who's the team the Knicks like, who is it that you want to avoid the most? Like, obviously, we probably no, you know what? You've already made your Boston case. So who is the team that you're really like, really would rather not see them on our pathway? Because I'm full out like I don't
It's
want to see
healthy.
San Antonio.
It's healthy Detroit for sure,
Mhm.
just because they were so close in that series last year, and they're so much better with Cade healthy this year. Like
Yeah.
they are that much better.
I'd
So
actually
it would be
agree.
Detroit.
The way that they beat them this year in the regular season, it's not like, oh, they beat them 3 times or 4 times, whatever. They beat the crap out of them, and they beat them when they weren't healthy. Like, the Knicks weren't even close, and I think that style is really tough for the Knicks. That just physical in your face, grind out every single possession. I think that's going to be a lot for the Knicks.
Yeah.
While I think they're going to be like, oh, we're going to play Boston. We're not going to be scared of those guys.
Yeah, like
We've
we
done
are
it
here
before.
for it. Are
Yeah.
we like if I'm as a Knicks fan and the Knicks play Boston in a playoff series, am I gonna sit here and say the Knicks are winning this shit in 5 or 6? Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, I'm not trying to act like the Knicks should beat Boston. I'm not acting like they should be favored to beat Boston, but the
Right.
Knicks can beat Boston. They literally proved it. I know Tatum got hurt last year. They were up 3-1
Mhm.
basically when that injury happened. They were on their way. The
And
Celtics
won
also
by
blew.
50 in game 6. No one ever wants to bring that up. They won by
Right.
50.
Yeah, it was not
What's
even
like
close.
Tatum's going to be a 50-point difference maker in that one?
And now just like the Knicks had massive collapses against Indiana, and the Knicks easily could have represented the East last year in the finals, the Celtics had pretty major collapses and like historic bad shooting performances against the Knicks in round 2. So again, I'm not trying to say like the Knicks are a lock to beat Boston, but they certainly can, and they
Right.
shouldn't be afraid of the matchup. More so
Agree.
than other teams. Yeah, that's good. Good stuff. Are you supremely confident your guy SGA is winning MVP?
Oh, I'm so glad. I didn't want to like extend you any longer, but I really wanted your take. So am I supremely confident he wins it? I'm about 85% sure that he's going to win it. I am 100% sure that he should win it because
Yeah.
start to finish,
Yeah, he should.
he's just been unbelievable. I want to hear you more than me because you're more nonpartisan than I am. Even though I know you're a huge Joker guy, you don't have like a real dog in the fight. I obviously do. So I really want to hear what your take is on the whole MVP candidacy
I
and
mean,
and if you
Mitchell
wanted to rank
Robinson should
1 through
win it,
4.
but um, yeah, no. If I had to rank 1 through 4, well, who are you saying is fourth?
Luca, because I know the 64 games, but
Is he
Luca really
hitting?
got himself in there. No, he's not going
He's
to.
not
So
going to
if you
hit the
want to do
game,
3, you can, but before then,
and Cade's
it was
not hitting the
4.
games either, because
No,
Cade
Cade won't hit
Cade
it
was
either.
in the
So
conversation for
now
me,
4 is probably Jaylen Brown.
right? Which shout out Jaylen Brown,
Awesome season.
fantastic year, fantastic year. SGA, Wemby, Jokic, clean cut. SGA's number 1. Wemby slightly above Jokic. So it's like 1 SGA, Wemby, Jokic. But the problem that I have with the conversation and the context that people try to add to it, have you seen the screenshots of like Wemby's stats last year versus this year? How they're like identical.
Oh, no, I haven't.
And people are like, this guy should be the MVP. He has the same stats he did last year. It's like, dude, shut up.
He averages
Just
like 5 blocks a game too. It's
is
crazy.
and like I think Chet is second in the NBA in blocks, and
1.8.
he's like a block and a half behind,
Yeah,
or like
dude,
2 full blocks behind Wemby.
it's a lot.
But it's like, and I don't want to do like the you just don't know ball, bro. But if you watch Victor Wembanyama,
Mhm,
there is no less than 10 plays a game, and
mhm.
that might be short selling it, where he absolutely demolishes the opposing offense without
Mhm.
getting a block.
Without even being near the ball.
Maybe there might not even be a shot attempt. That's how much he could affect the opposing team. Like there, if you watch the Spurs, just keep an eye out on opposing guards and wings as they approach the paint, where they see him and go, "Ooh,
Yep.
I think I'm gonna turn around and kick this out." Like
This is
it's insane. It's insane how much he affects every single play defensively when he's out there. And like the statistics back it up. If you want to say the Spurs are that much better because Castle got better, Fox is healthy,
mhm.
and Harper's been good, and Fasell's been good, and Luke Cornett is actually really a fucking good
I
backup
think he's
center.
a yeah. Harrison
Like
Barnes, Champagne,
all those
like
things
they're
are true,
mhm.
but this dude is actually also the truth. And his stats don't need to be better from last year to say that he's that much better than last year. He also missed a bunch of games last year because of blood clots in his legs.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, full season, stats are amazing, impact non-statistical, amazing, amazing. SGA is the MVP.
Yeah, I'm super torn on 2 and 3 because I've seen firsthand what Wemby does to affect a game, but offense still is more important than defense. It just is. It always will be. He's an awesome offensive player, but he's not the engine that SGA is, that
No,
Nikola Jokic is, or even that Luca is. Like a lot of Wemby's points are coming off of action that Stephen Castle or De'Aaron Fox creates, and he gets the benefit from being a billion feet tall and just like a boop, a little lob. So it's not to diminish Wemby, because I also remember saying on here, OKC better win this year because this dude is about to be like maybe the greatest player we've ever seen. He really is like that freaking ridiculous. But
Yeah.
Nikola Jokic is leading the league in rebounds per game and assists per game and puts up like 28 per game. So
Yeah,
it
and
was,
that's
I
stupid.
believe it was Bill Simmons pointed this out with Zach Lowe, saying that he's like the highest amount. Like if you ranked points per game, he's like fourth in the league, and then he's first in rebounds and assists. So that totals like 6 or whatever. And like Wilt Chamberlain was like the next highest and had like 7, where he was like fifth in points per game, first in rebounds. Like Nikola Jokic is averaging a triple double.
Yeah.
He
For the
he
second or third year in a row, if I'm not
he's
mistaken.
such an engine. I don't know if you got to watch that game they played with San Antonio, but it was just
I
awesome.
caught a handful of it.
I mostly ended up watching the fourth quarter, but I mean, those two were just going back and forth. I think the problem with Jokic is he actually had a lot of bad statistics in clutch time this year.
Yes.
Like
Bad, which is
he's
so
been
weird for him.
turning the ball. It's so anti-Jokic. It's not going to continue in the playoffs, but you're splitting hairs with these guys. But
Yeah.
when you do all this and you keep coming,
He's also missed some more time this year than
he
he
missed a
has in
lot.
years
But you know
past.
what? Wemby also missed a lot of time, and Wemby also came off the bench for a very big stretch of time.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
wow, that
and the
feels like
MVP
old
thing
history.
really wasn't like that big of a case until the last couple months, but
Where the
they've
Nuggets
been
have been a
winning so
little bit
much.
more the Nuggets have been a little bit more middle of the road.
Right, and Wemby and the Spurs really haven't lost. Through
Yeah.
all of that, through all of these things, SGA has been such a damn constant. Hasn't wavered, hasn't fallen off. He's going to score 20 points in every single game this season. Knock on wood, that would be crazy of me to do. But the efficiency combined with the volume, combined with the lack of turnovers and the defense and the motor that he doesn't get credit for. Like, I know I've got my bias. I've never seen a guy have that big of a role in an offense, make that few mistakes, force that few shots, have that high of an efficiency with that volume. Oh, and then this year, all of a sudden, he just doesn't miss in the fourth quarter. Like
Doesn't miss. It's so
it's
stupid.
crazy what he's doing, and I still don't think people have fully grasped like really what it is, because they
And
just
people
go,
because
he shoots free
foul baiting.
throws.
Yeah.
Watch
Meanwhile,
the NBA,
literally
dude.
and like, God, it's so frustrating because like, if somebody says Jordan or Kobe around SGA, if you're in your right basketball mind, you should go, "Yeah, he's been that good for a couple years now." But, like, there's so many people who are, "What? That's insane. This
You
guy is just
can't
foul
do
baiting."
that. Yeah,
Dude, SGA is, in our lifetime, Cody, like, top 3 guard of all time. That's ho like, legitimately, in our
I've made all
lifetime,
these cases.
top 3 who are the guards that you could even argue have been better than SGA in our lifetime? I would
Steph
say
Curry.
Steph Curry and Kobe Bryant, and I would
Mhm.
not argue for Kobe, and the Steph one is getting a little interesting.
Yeah, it's
It's
gonna
getting a
take a
little
lot more
interesting,
SGA of this to like actually
for
pass
sure.
some of these. But like the peak of this 4-year stretch, all
Stupid.
NBA every year, first in MVP voting last year, probably this year, second, I think in both of the 2 years prior, like 30 plus per. The numbers just keep showing it. And if you want to go, well, he shoots free throws sometimes.
Dude,
He shoots less
stupid.
than those guys per game. If you really want to
Those
look
guys
into it.
lived at the free throw line.
Yeah,
It
because
was a
every
tougher
great scorer
game.
does.
It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
a
yeah.
tougher game
Right.
back then.
Then it's
Guess what? They
that.
were still baiting people to get
Hmm.
to the freaking line. They
Oh
were
my
still
God.
doing it. Oh god,
Then
so
they would
stupid.
tell us that, "Oh, well, it won't well, in the playoffs, it'll be different," but then in the playoffs, it wasn't different. You know
No,
why? He's
he's
just
that
a
good.
freaking bucket, man.
Yeah, he's a bucket. Well, could I say this maybe so we could have a little disagreement perhaps?
Yeah,
Would you be mad at me if I
yeah,
said SGA is the MVP this year? And if I
mhm,
had a vote, I would vote for him. But I
you
still
should.
believe Nikola Jokic is the best player on the planet.
No, I had this conversation, and I still don't know. I think SGA, based on accolades and what he's done, is very fair to say he's the best player, but I think if you were just, like, in a vacuum still, that it's still okay. Like, it's okay if you say Nikola Jokic. It's okay if you say SGA. I think SGA, again, based on what he's done accolades wise, you're like, what else does he have to do at this point? Like, what
I guess
more can he do?
win one more title because they
Maybe
both have
that
one at the
cements it,
moment.
or if he
And like
beats him again in the playoffs, maybe that cements it. But like,
you
I
could
don't.
you could turn to the argument like the Thunder are a deeper, better team. You could definitely turn to that argument. And I would also say this, like SG is on a 5-year run. SG is on a 4-year run. Jokic on a 5-year run.
Mhm.
Jokic on a 5-year run, and you could argue with really rational mind that he should have 4 MVPs. And if you wanted to go crazy,
Mhm.
you could argue
Mhm.
that he could have 5 MVPs in a row. Like
You could,
he came
but
in second.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Right. You wouldn't argue it, but you could
I
argue it.
wouldn't.
3 years ago, including this year. So like this is 25, 26. In 24, 25, he was second to SGA. It was
Mhm.
relatively close. There was reasonable arguments that he could have won it. He
Mhm.
won it the year before. In 22, 23, he came in second behind Embiid. And there, in my opinion, was incredibly reasonable arguments that he should have won that one.
Yeah.
And I think some people look back and say he should have won that one. And then he won the 2 before that. So a person with a right mind could
Mhm.
argue that he
Right.
should have 5 MVPs in a row. That's all I'm
Okay.
saying.
In
That's all
my
I'm saying.
mind,
He doesn't have 5 and he shouldn't have 5, but he probably almost definitely should have 4 out of 5.
well, I'll say this, Pete. SGA won last year, 68
Yes.
wins. I don't think that it should have been Joker's. I could argue that the
I
year
don't either, but
before
I think it was closer than
it
to
was
say that
close.
there was an
The
argument for it.
There was such a gap in wins, and plus SGA had the numbers and all of it where it's
Yes.
like,
Agreed.
what else could he do? So SGA to me deserved it. It's not like this Derrick Rose, we handed it to him. And I love Derrick Rose, but could have been LeBron's. Anyway, the year before when Joker won, when SGA was second, I certainly wanted to make an argument that SGA should have been the MVP with very similar numbers.
You made the
I
argument on this
definitely
podcast.
did
Yeah.
because they went from 42 wins and the 10 seed to like 59 and the 1 seed. And to me, that could have been enough to win the MVP because, again, the numbers matched up. So
Right.
I could be arguing here that this should be year 3 in a row for SGA's MVP in my right mind.
3 ain't 5, Cody,
So
though.
long as we say this, Pete, I think that there's super fair arguments on both
Yeah,
sides
it's a
of
great
those,
argument.
and it's a good argument to have that like we could go back and forth for another hour on, which we won't. But as long as it's not this like I'm gonna try to take down this guy so I can build up this guy, because you just don't have to do that. These
Right.
guys are
No, for sure.
so freaking good.
Incredible.
Like, just appreciate what we get to watch with Joker, with SGA, with Wemby, with Luca, with the Jays, with Brunson. Like, the league, if they would just figure out some
Fantastic.
other shit, is in
Yeah.
great hands. If they weren't
I
so dumb.
I think people are hard to admit this, and we keep going longer and longer, but I'm having fun. I'm having a lot of fun here, Cody, and you don't have
I,
work tomorrow, and neither do I.
I got
Let's
nothing. Well,
freaking go.
yeah.
I think it's hard for people to wrap their head around the idea of like how many all-timers do we have in the league right now in their prime? Like it's just a hard thing for people to consider. Like, is Cade an all-timer? Like, I don't know. Is he gonna crack a top 25 all time? Like that still feels like super far away.
Very.
But when you talk about SGA and Jokic and Luca and Wemby and Tatum, like you are talking about all-timers. Like these guys are Hall of Famers. They're Hall of Famers. They're
Yeah.
playing it in their prime currently. They're Hall of Famers. That's awesome. That's exciting as hell. And around all sports, NFL, MLB, NBA, like it's hard again to wrap your head around. Like, oh yeah, Aaron Judge is an all-timer, right? That's easy. There are other people who are all-timers who you don't even realize it yet. And I think the NBA has a good bit of them right now. And people don't want to admit it, or they don't realize it, or they don't watch the certain games, whatever it may be. But I think
Yeah.
you're right. Like it's totally true. And then lastly, if we're talking about the belt of best player on the planet, I think like with UFC and boxing, et cetera, like Bill Simmons brings up all the time, like the title defense makes you like the real champion.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, I think Jokic still has like he doesn't own the belt because he lost last year, the MVP race, and didn't win the championship. But like he still has the belt from his old weight class, and like SGA has to win that one now. Like you know what I mean? Like if SGA wins the MVP this year and the title this year, I will definitely say like, all right, I think SGA's got the planet right now. If that's fair.
I think that's fair. Like Nikola Jokic is so good that I can't sit here and be like, "What? What are you?" Like you
Right.
can't say that, even though, in my opinion, he's done enough to claim this spot as being considered, whether it's the best basketball player in a vacuum or the best NBA player because of accolades, which to me are two different things.
Yeah.
I think he's done enough to say, all right, 2 years of this, 4 years in totality. This is the best team. He is the best player, and he's the driving force to it all. Like without him, it looks way different.
Right.
But then you go watch Joker battle Wemby, and you go,
Holy shit.
oh.
What do you have? 40, 13, and 12 on like
No, he had 8
60%
rebounds because
shooting?
I took him for a
Oh, 8
triple-double
rebounds.
instead of the other stuff that I wanted to take. 136 to 134, but I couldn't win a parlay.
Oh my God. That's
Overtime too. Very cool.
That's unbelievable. All right, Cody O'Connor, this has been great. We had just under 100 people tapping in on Twitter throughout the duration of the show. We had a handful on YouTube popping in as well. You know, if you're listening right now, drop something in the comments in the chat on Twitter or on YouTube. Say what up. Say you appreciate what you're seeing, what you're watching, what you're hearing, what you're talking about. We love to hear from you. Drop your takes. We'll get back to you as well. But we'll be live. I think moving forward, all podcasts will be live when we record, and then obviously up on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. The next day. Cody O'Connor, any last words? Any last words for the Subway Sports Talks truthers over here?
No, it's just a blast, Pete. And you said it earlier. To me, I think this is my favorite time of the sports calendar, even though when October comes, I might say the same thing because there's just two awesome times. But we got the Masters coming up this weekend.
Wow.
Even if you're not a golf fan, typically people are tuning in, hear the birds chirping, the greenest grass you'll ever see. So pumped for that. And we're getting into NBA and NHL playoffs. Baseball's in full swing. How you doing? It's such a good time, man. Excited to do it again.
Me too, man. Good to talk to you. Talk to you soon. That's all we got. Subway Sports Talks, Kennedy and Cody O'Connor. We will be back next week talking some baseball and some basketball. NBA playoffs is so close. I actually can't even believe it, but I'm so excited. And we'll be here talking through it all on our socials at Subway Sports Talk and right here on your podcast app or YouTube, wherever you're watching us. Thanks for listening. Cheers.